Good morning, Wall Street winners. It is Tuesday, October the 15th, and the markets are going a bit crazy right now thanks to earnings out of some of the big US investment banks and banks in general, which have all met and or exceeded their forecasts and expectations, and they are just soaring. Now, it's not really reflected here in the markets overview in the Bloomberg app of what's happening in the Dow, the S&P 500, and NASDAQ futures. But this is set to be a very green on the screen day. The other piece of news that we're hearing is the US government yesterday announcing that they're going to give one of their most advanced missile detection systems to Israel. Now, what that has done is it's caused oil to tank, and oil is off $3, more than 3% there, down in the pre-market. So it's at just below $71 a barrel for crude futures a month out from now. So crude is having a difficult time. That's going to mean that oil stocks are going to have a poor day, very likely today. But where you want to be is in technology and financials right now. So if we take a look down through our Yahoo Finance app, starting with health and retail, you can see there's certainly some activity here. It's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of green and red on the screen. Most of your retailers in the green, with the exception of Lulu right now in the pre-market, but not an area where I would be paying much attention to at this time. Although the one sleeper in this is Home Depot, which has been slowly on the rise for the last few months. And if you take a look at Home Depot's 6-month chart, you'll notice that as of really its low in, we'll call it June, July timeframe, it has climbed since August all the way up to where it is today. And that's almost $100. Let's call it a $90 growth in, at the time, a $325 stock. So almost a 33% gain from its low back in the summer. So that is a bit of a sleeper, and we'll have to see whether that is going to actually translate into earnings this quarter when they announce, or whether they're going to get hit and come back down a little bit. You can see transport had a good day yesterday. Again, another sector that we're not super strong on right now. Oil right now across the board is green, and some of these stocks just getting hammered. Chevron down $3.59. Valero down 318 in the pre-market. So you've got a lot of activity there on the downside, and that's really thanks to crude November 24th futures. Those are down at 770, down $3.13, or 4.24% right now. If we get back into tech, NVIDIA hit an all-time high yesterday, climbing out of the rut it got into around its earnings last month, when it had some concerns about the production of its Blackwell chips. Those have been resolved. Its CEO came online and said they are now in full production and the demand is overwhelming. And that has caused NVIDIA to go up significantly over the last month, and hit an all-time high, and I think at the end of the day yesterday, or throughout the day yesterday. So one of the interesting plays here would be NVDL. I think NVDL, this is a leverage play on NVIDIA. So when NVIDIA goes up $1, it typically goes up 2. Now you've got the same risk on the downside, so there is a potential for accelerated loss. But I think we're in a point in time now where NVIDIA is going to start its climb, and this may be an interesting way to increase your exposure to the upside there. Micron's making a comeback, although both are off in the pre-market. I think those are going to turn today because of what we're seeing in the financial sector, and the turnaround there. CrowdStrike, which had a great week last week, as did all the cybersecurity companies, it took a hit yesterday, down about $10, but it looks like it's making a bit of a recovery today. Salesforce had a great day yesterday, not in cybersecurity, but in tech and software as a service, looking like it may continue an upward trend today. It's back in the 290s, which it hasn't been to in a very long period of time. We want to see this stock, CRM or Salesforce, cross the 300 mark. And as it gets over that 300 mark, it should continue to climb. Palo Alto and Net, or Cloudflare, another two of our cybersecurity companies that we follow, both had good days yesterday. Palo Alto just down slightly, but looking like it could turn and be back up today. Scrolling down for you, got Microsoft in the 419 range, looking like it's going to get back up into the 420s. It's going to announce in a couple of weeks, so we'll take a look at the earnings date there. It's the 30th, so at the end of the month is when Microsoft announces. I would expect it's going to hit on earnings and revenue, probably a beat there, and it has been kind of plateaued at 430. It should cause it to go through that 430 mark. ARM had an incredible day yesterday. This stock is a great one for volatility if that's what you want to trade in. It's off a little in the pre-market today, but it was up almost $10.50 yesterday at finishing at 161.82. And then you've got AMD, which had an off day out of all the semis yesterday. So that might be an interesting one to keep an eye on. If it dropped into the low 160s or high 150s, I think it's a solid bet. That stock should be $185, $190 stock by the end of the year. Lam Research had a phenomenal day. And this, again, a semiconductor stock. So kind of being lifted with the news from NVIDIA. And then we'll see as well as we get towards the bottom here that TSM also had a good day and up again today. Adobe had a good day. Google had a strong day, and it's up strong in the pre-market. NVIDIA off slightly, but it will likely come back. So again, this is a stock where NVIDIA, you want to follow and buy on the dip. Google as well, I think in the mid 160s is a steal. This stock should easily be a $190 stock by the end of the year. And most of the predictions we've made on the channel have actually materialized. So if you're questioning what I'm saying here, just stick with me for a month or two and you'll see some of these results come to fruition. So that said, if you're liking these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Leave me a like and a comment. Tell me what you'd like me to talk to you about. I'd be happy to review that and go through that information for you and the benefit of others. Tesla, obviously bad news with the robotaxi event, or not great news with the robotaxi event, not meeting expectations. So it had an okay day yesterday, but it's down overall. Meta looks like it's going to climb up into the 600s, which was a prediction we made to get to the 550s only less than a month ago. And then BABA's clawing back. So we had the great stimulus news out of China. I think when we hear more about that, which is not come out as quickly as the markets had hoped, we should see another climb. But we may also see a climb around earnings with these companies. And I don't think the stimulus is going to be a positive. It won't have had time to be a positive enough effect on the earnings. But if the earnings are starting to turn and we're getting stimulus, it should present a good forward-looking forecast and message for some of these Chinese tech companies. Now let's go down into the financials, which are really having the heyday this week with their earnings announcements for Q3, and we've got Citi up today, $1.44 in the pre-market. SoFi, which is a stock we have been telling you about for months now, has gone from $6 to $10, so almost a double in the last 2 months. This has been on a rocket ship trajectory, and they just announced a partnership with Fortis, and that's only going to help them going forward from a loan perspective. We have Morgan Stanley announcing tomorrow, so they're up in the pre-market based on the results of JP Morgan, which had a great day Friday, came off its high a little bit yesterday, but looks like it's going to regain that and have some good forward momentum. I think JP Morgan is a solid bet for a bit of a jump today based on the earnings from Goldman, and Goldman is up $15 in the pre-market. It had a great day yesterday. It had a great run up into earnings. So this was a stock trading in the 480 range just a week ago, or a week or two ago, and it's now closed yesterday almost at 523. It looks like it's going up another 15, probably $20 on the open when that opens and accelerates. Schwab also announced today, Charles Schwab, they had phenomenal results. They're up about $6 in the pre-market. This is a stock that has not seen the $70 range for over, I'm going to say, a year, maybe a year and a half if we go back. So if we look at the last 1 year, okay, so it has been there, but only slightly. We can see that It certainly hasn't been in that range for quite some time, but it has now climbed back up there and it looks like it's going to continue its upward trajectory. TD, with the scandal that it's gone through, it's sold off again yesterday. I think it's a scream of a deal right now for the long term. It's not one that's likely going to jump in the near future. It may jump on earnings, but those don't come until the beginning of December. So you do have some time to buy into this and just continue to watch what it's doing. But in the high 70 range with a dividend yield of over 5%, I think you've got a lot of potential for not just a good dividend return, but a good capital appreciation in the long term. So that's where we are today. Good luck with your trades. And if you're liking the videos, please hit the like and subscribe.